welcome to the Learning for Legacy show with me, your host, Afam Onyenakala. This is all about the concept of making generational wealth understandable, practical, and accessible. I'll be exploring a range of topics and sharing conversations, interviews, and more. Because what good is building wealth if we don't build the people? Welcome once again to the show. A wise man once said, "You can tell a good father by looking at how his son turns out." But an even more insightful man said, "You can tell how great a father is by how well his son's son turns out." This is generational wealth thinking, because the grandson or the granddaughter is the evidence of the grandparents' wisdom, training, and ethics passed down. For example, the rise of Venus and Serena Williams is a testament to the guidance and lessons their father, Richard, learned from his mother and then took seriously enough to teach them. But why generational wealth specifically? Now, the word wealth comes from the Old English word weal, which in translation is welfare or well-being. If a state of well-being is the accumulation of being well, then we can consider that wealth is the accumulation of quantifiable resources. And those resources can be categorized in different areas, such as time, health, intellect, enterprise, values, money, and it goes on and on. Riches then, on the other hand, can be referred to as the abundance of those quantifiable resources. In episode 1, I referred to the analogy of your wealth being like the apple tree and your money being like the apples. Therefore, riches of whatever kind is the child or offspring of wealth. Wealth, therefore, has creative connotations. The word generation comes from the Latin root word generare, which is to beget or to give birth. And the Latin word genus comes from stock or race. I would personally classify generational wealth as the systematic and sustainable accumulation and transfer of resources in perpetual service to offspring. This offspring may include not just blood family, but as J. Hughes calls it, a family of affinity. Those who are committed to the shared values and the work required to make it reality. In an earlier episode, I mentioned my history through the story of my grandparents. Although we grew up in different eras and locations, I can see how some elements of their journey and thinking has influenced mine today. I know that within life, some people can benefit enormously from any foundation they can inherit, whether that's love, wisdom, or finance. I also know that some people don't have any of that and that they've had to start from zero. And if so, all is not lost. The important thing is having a blueprint to work with. Things built to last tend not to happen in a random manner, but with the guidance of a particular roadmap. In 2013, an extraordinary wealth study was published that interviewed leaders of 38 families who successfully made it through at least 2 generational transitions, some of who had made it to the 5th generation, in fact. In that book called Good Fortune, Building a 100-Year Family Enterprise, the author Dennis Jaffe and his team showed how these families approached each transition of wealth creatively in order to grow and pass these benefits over several generations. The great thing here was that the families were allowed to speak in their own words, hence providing quite rare and unique insights. What many of them did was to first create a great business and then progressively over several generations develop to become great families. The ability for a family to sustain an enterprise across several generations was summarized in 7 key points by the author into what he and his team called qualities of a 100-year family enterprise. And those 7 key points, I'll go through those now very briefly. The first is a shared purpose and values. So for these families, it wasn't really just about the money. It was essentially the foundational mission statement for why they exist. And so by doing this, immediately what they began to do was to position themselves with an owner's mentality. The second key is family community across generations. Now, this is all about building personal relationships across family branches, extended family, and blended families. So what would sometimes happen is that within the first generation, the creator of wealth may have been within just one family, but by the time it reached the second and third generation, this had then extended into multiple families and then through cousins and various other branches of extended family and blended families. The third key is professionally managing their business and financial affairs. Now, what the study showed is that they tended to do this through education and very clear structures of governance which they put in place. The fourth key is continual adaption and resiliency. So for them, this was the ability to face new challenges as they arose both between the business and also within family environments. And this wouldn't necessarily limit itself to one generation, but as progressive generations went forward, you had unique changes in culture, unique changes in how businesses would run, and various disruptions which would affect the nature of how businesses would develop. The fifth key is free choice to remain partners. Now, this is quite unique and quite significant, actually, because this includes members having the freedom to leave an enterprise if they choose to do so, and even reinitiating connection back into that enterprise, whether that's through the existing generation or through a future generation. The sixth key is active development of human capital. Now, this is where the families would really focus on development of the skills, the talents, the intellect, the lives, and also the experiences of the future generations through various programs, various types of education, personal development, meetings, and mentorship. The final key was and is the commitment to give back to the community. So what the families would do was, using their accumulated resources, they would look to make a difference in a socially responsible way, either in areas where they are or elsewhere. So for me, an interesting observation that I found is that when families begin to adopt a family enterprise outlook, as opposed to just a family business outlook, then the scope of what's involved extends far beyond the reach of just financial or business resources. Building a deeper connection of family through an enterprising mindset can not only generate financial success, but it can also develop a unique bond rooted in a commitment to building a better future. Not just for now, but for future generations. This is legacy. Thanks for listening to Learning for Legacy. To join our community or find out about what else we get up to, you can follow us on Twitter at Legacy Learning or on our website at www.legacylearning.co.uk. To access additional content or exclusives from this particular episode, please find the information within the show notes.